Here's my vintage 1980s Bruiser that I restored. Just doing a little walk around. There's no decals at all on this truck. Everything you see is hand painted. You can see the Toyota name and all the turn signals and stuff. The bumpers, all the bumpers and the light color stuff you see here is painted an off-white tan color. So it's kind of like a off-white color. It looks kind of white in the pictures, but it's off-white. A tan kind of sand tan color. There's the driver. There's some more pictures of him. There's a green long sleeve on, a gray short sleeve, and some brown pants. And he's got some black hair. That's crazy shiny. Here's the windshield rubber molding that I painted. You can see it. And the door handle with the black louvers behind it. And a little tiny keyhole thing painted silver. These black things on the camper back have little silver outlines that I painted. And so does the back window louvers. There's I hand masked that Toyota off. That's spray painted with that same tan that's on everything else. The black outlines you can see on the tail lights. And the same silver stuff on this side. It's pretty stock. I built it like it would have been originally in the 80s. See the original wheels and stuff here. Original wheels and tires. It's hard to read, but that says 1992 Mountain. This is a 1992 Mountaineer front cab on this body. The back, of course, is original vintage Bruiser. The original front cab got damaged, so I ended up using a Mountaineer front cab. I experimented with using one of the modern re-release cabs on the front of this thing, and it just didn't fit right. And it was just not as nice a quality as some of the older stuff, so I ended up settling with the Mountaineer front cab on the thing. Just thought I'd mention that. It's one of the things that isn't 100% perfect original. And I'll talk about a few more things that are similar to that here, talking about the chassis. Here's the chassis. So we're going to talk about the things that are not quite 100% factory original. On these vintage Bruisers, the gearboxes normally have white sealant that's all kind of globbed and gooped up all around the mating surfaces on the transmission here. And I didn't really like the looks of that. So what I did was I took the transmission all apart and removed all the white sealant, cleaned everything up good, and then when I put it all back together, I used this Loctite 74, which is like a non-hardening sealant and has this real thin applicator, and I applied that to all the little mating surfaces on the gearbox case here, and it seals up good and shifts fine. Anyways, it makes for a cleaner looking transmission, and I just liked how it looked, so that's why I did that and how I did that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Shifts fine. I have a little video of it running here later. It shifts fine, it works fine. I just wanted to talk about that. All the metal stuff I've used real fine grit sandpaper and shined it all up. This is an original 750 motor in here, and it has all the original running gear. This goes to the original speed controller. And here's those bumpers that I talked about earlier. The original bumpers that I painted a tan color, and the back body mounts have been painted too. That's about it for the top. This is the original switch cover, and it's original. It's pretty wore out. There's a little crack on this part of it here, but it's still functional if you want to still use the thing and it doesn't look bad. I thought I'd mention that. And another thing you can tell it's an older Bruiser is the battery tray here. The older batteries are real wide. So anyways, that's the underneath parts of this machine. The main thing I wanted to show under here was the brass U-joints. All the vintage Bruisers have brass U-joints on the drive shafts. This one has all the brass U-joints. I shined them all up. Here's some of the other metal work that I shined up. That's the main thing I wanted to show under here. There's the resistor. It has an original mechanical speed controller, and those are the resistors to it. And in the battery box you'll have all the servos that I'll include, and there's also a 4-channel Futaba receiver inside that I'll include. But I have no transmitter. I'm not going to sell this thing with a transmitter. So if you want to make this thing a running and driving car or vehicle, you will need to figure out buying and installing your own transmitter. That's about it. I thought I would show some of the extras that I have that I'll include if someone wants them. Got some old servo parts. This is the original switch to the headlights. This is a spare transmission plug, and then that's an old receiver battery, a vintage receiver battery, which probably doesn't work, but it definitely has a vintage look to it, so I figured I'd include it with the truck. Over here, if somebody wants it, is the original body. I talked about how I messed up the original body and had to use a Mountaineer body on this truck. This is the original body that came with the truck, and what happened with this was when I painted the car, I thought I would speed up the paint drying process by putting this in the oven, and I put the oven on the lowest setting that the oven had, and unfortunately it melted the body all up, and it ruined the really nice original body. As you might expect, I wasn't so happy about that when that happened. It was a real bummer. But anyway, that's what happened. And I have the original body if you want it. It might look okay in the pictures here, but it really is not usable. If it was salvageable, I would have saved it for sure, but it's not really salvageable. I just have it if somebody wants it. The back here especially is noticeable. You got, you know, look how this should be straight here. You know, it's all really badly warped up. And you can see there's even a bend in the bottom of the camper top here. See that? That's all. Like I said, it's pretty much garbage. But I just wanted to show in case somebody wanted the original body work. I have it. Like I said, I don't know why exactly you'd want the original body work, because it's not really usable, but there it is.